Every known member in the Hexenzirkel Explained. The Hexenzirkel is an organization of powerful witches that conducts Irminsul explorations and gathers around for formal tea parties. The group is composed of powerful beings, with some arguably even stronger than the gods of Teyvat. We know based on the portrait symbolizing the group, that there are at least 8 members, but we currently only know 7 of them. In the Imaginarium Theater lobby, books with the title of The Little Witch and the Undying Fire can be found. This book collection was written by various members of the group, and some of the characters are inspired by the members themselves. It is implied that the book was meant to be a gift for Andersdotter, however, she passed away during the writing of Volume 5. The first member we meet is Alice, who founded the Hexenzirkel, and uses the codename A. She is the mother of Klee, and a famous adventurer who authored the Teyvat Travel Guide. She is someone who has a mastery of a myriad of skills, including alchemy, astrology, engineering, magic, and medicine. Alice is an adventurer who belongs to a long-lived species, and is at least 500 years old herself. She has allegedly seen the entire world, and possibly even beyond. While it is unclear what Alice does on her adventures, besides satisfying her personal curiosity, she comments that Teyvat's borders have grown fragile the past 2 years, so it looks like she's going to have to get busy. This is the reason why she had to quickly leave her family. Alice became acquainted with the alchemist Rhinedottir at an unknown point in the past, along with the other witches in the Hexenzirkel. The two have a close enough relationship that Rhinedottir later sends Albedo, her apprentice and creation, to seek Alice out for help with his final assignment. In turn, she brought him to the Knights of Favonius, believing they had the resources to build a large research lab in his favor. Her immense magical prowess has led Albedo to call her a near-omnipotent sorceress. Mona also speaks favorably of her expertise, and states that the Narukami pillars on Inazuma, which suppresses the Tatarigami, and were allegedly created by the Radiant Shogun, were created with techniques that are quite familiar to her. She became acquainted with Yae Miko at some point, calling the over 500-year-old fox a little girl, and recounts how easy it was to make her cry. Alice also mentions other notable figures, further indicating that she traveled to Inazuma after the cataclysm 500 years ago. Sometime after the fall of Conria, she met an Oceanid in Sumeru, who had fled Fontaine after the death of the previous Hydro Archon, Egeria. She granted her wish to be away from everyone else, and sent her to the desert with the Mirage Domain. 50 years ago, she made a pact with her friend and rival, Barbeloth, resulting in Alice taking possession of her diary, which she later left in Klee's care. At some point in time, she met Klee's father, another renowned adventurer, during her travels. They had Klee, and decided to stay in Mondstadt for a while, to raise her. Around this time, Albedo sought her out, leading Alice to take the boy in, and insisted on treating each other as a real family, even making him refer to her as a mother. She later inspired Barbara to become an idol for Alice's Teyvat Idols group, although the group never came to fruition due to recruitment troubles. Alice also met Dory at some point, and became her first supplier. Dory always speaks highly of her, and she also values the merchant, even narrating her collected miscellany. Sometime after Crepus died, 4 years before the start of the game, Klee noticed Diluc's disappearance, which prompted Alice to look into the matter. After finding out about his father's passing, she sent Diluc a lengthy letter to express her condolences, and give him words of encouragement. 3 years before the start of the game, Alice and Klee's father went to travel somewhere dangerous and far away, and entrusted her daughter to Albedo. In the recent past, Alice also began writing the Teyvat Travel Guide, documenting notable areas and features in her travels, although it's highly personal and subjective, making it feel more like her personal diary. The Mondstadt edition was likely written before she raised Klee. During that time, she observed Amber's Baron Bunny, and was inspired to build an explosive doll, which eventually became known as Dodoko. While writing the Liyue edition, she became acquainted with Zhongli, whom she described as the sternest person she knows. She also cured Echo of his stutter, but the potion's side effects caused him to be compelled to perfectly imitate those around him, which he is still afflicted by to this day. In the Inazuma edition, she attempted to recruit Kamisato Ayaka for Teyvat Idols, only to be refused at least 6 times. While we haven't seen Alice in person, she was directly involved in setting up the Midsummer Island adventure. she found the Golden Apple Archipelago, and thought of her daughter. As a gift to her, and to the people who were taking care of her, she decided to dress up the islands, leaving behind various gadgets and games, to turn it into a summer park for everyone to enjoy. She then left a phonograph, with a message from her, for the event's attendees to find, which explained everything. She was also involved in sending the party to the archipelago again, in Summertime Odyssey. Sometime later, she returned to Mondstadt to visit Klee. During the trip, she ran into Venti, and gave him a dodo communication device, to give to a friend of his, which he would give to the traveler. Sometime after, she had asked her friend Oceanid, to orchestrate a summer trip to the Mirage, for Klee. She sent a letter about the trip to the Knights of Favonia's headquarters, along with a magic invite, that would teleport Klee and her companions, to wherever they desired to go. Alice is a strong candidate for one of the Descenders, Outlanders, who come from outside of Teyvat, with her knowledge having no bounds. She is the only other known character besides the Traveler, who is seemingly unaffected by changes to Irminsul, having narrated Wanderer's Collected Miscellany. Volume 1, of The Little Witch and Undying Fire, which references real-life concepts, such as Murphy's Law and the Philosopher's Stone, was written by Alice. Barbeloth. Astromancer Barbeloth Trismegistus, famously known as the Old Hag, is a master hydromancer, visionary, and teacher to Mona. She is also a member of the Hexenzirkel, where she uses the code name B. According to Mona, Magistus, meaning great, is a suffixal identifier, and functional surname of mages, under her tutorship. She was already once known as Barbeloth Magistus, but renamed herself as Trismegistus, meaning thrice as great, to distinguish herself from her students. She is a visionary, someone who is so skilled at astrology, that she can read the fortunes of entire nations, Teyvat, and even the world itself. This inspired Mona, and it became her greatest wish, to overtake her in hydromancy, and become known as the world's greatest astrologer. As I mentioned, she is also a friend and rival of Alice. However, unlike Alice, who has a mastery in multiple magical fields, she is only talented in astrology. Though she initially did not understand what Alice saw in Andersdotter, a human, but a fellow member of the Hexenzirkel, she later grew to respect her, and realized that her perceptiveness, for the world's operating principles, could sometimes even surpass astrology. Volume 2 of The Little Witch and Undying Fire, which explains the study of astrology and celestial bodies, was written by Barbeloth. Rhinedottir. She is an alchemist and researcher, who achieved the pinnacle of both knowledge and alchemical prowess, thus coming to be known as Gold. She was particularly proficient in the art of chemia, and created all sorts of living beings, which she classified under several categories, including the Alpha-Soul, Humus, and Cretaceous. At some point, she created the Dragon Duran, which she considered her masterpiece at the time. She also created many failed subjects, which she discarded, as part of her primordial human project, intended to create humans through alchemy. One such failure was primordial albedo, which she left within Duran's stomach. 500 years before the start of the game, a great disaster ravaged all of Teyvat, around the same time that Conria fell. Because of conflicting information given, it is currently uncertain whether her creatures traveled to Teyvat first, thus attracting the attention of the gods in Celestia, and the Seven, which resulted in their nation's destruction, or, if Conria's destruction at their hands, caused Rhinedottir to send her creations to Teyvat. Nonetheless, she is considered one of the 5 sinners of Conria. From the perspective of the people, the fall of Conria's Eclipse dynasty set off a chain of disasters. Among them was the army of shadowy monsters created by Gold, which then invaded their world. A contrasting perspective given by Duran's memories, instead claiming that Rhinedottir had sent him away from Conria to display his beauty, with any nefarious intentions left ambiguous, while the Rift Wolves invaded Teyvat of their own volition. Notably, both Dane Slith and the Jester, who are survivors from Conria, have indicated that multiple figures from their nation were responsible for invoking Celestia's wrath. Nevertheless, the role the art of chemia played in the nation's downfall has put both Dane and Venti on guard against it. After the cataclysm, she apparently emerged relatively unscathed. She then eventually made a breakthrough in her primordial human project, and created the perfect albedo, which she classified as Cretaceous, and taught him everything she knew, as they ventured in and out of domains. However, one day, they stumbled upon an item, known as the Heart of Nibirius, something still currently unknown. Shortly afterwards, she disappeared, leaving Albedo with the task of discovering the truth and meaning of the world, and directing him to seek out help from Alice and Mondstadt. All of her creations include the Primordial Albedo, first iteration of the Primordial Human Project, the Albedo we have in game, the Rift Wolves, the Golden Wolf Lord, although it was unintentional, and During, the Dragon. Volume 3 of The Little Witch and Undying Fire, which mentions biology and alchemy, was written by Rhinedottir. Ivanovna. She was a member of the Hexenzirkel, where she went by the code name J. She was also the first mayor of Snezhnaya. After marrying, she left the Hexenzirkel group, although she kept in touch with them from time to time. She passed away centuries ago, but had a line of successors, the most recent of which is Scarlet. She never had any magic, or even combat training, and was simply ordinary, in comparison to other members of the group. She had a lineage of successors and followers, although none of them were acknowledged by Alice, until Scarlet. At some point in her life, she fell in love with a man, and decided to leave the group after marrying. The day before she was going to be married, multiple members of the Hexenzirkel sent her a letter containing a prophecy, which was actually a request for her to see them again. It can be assumed that she communicated with them, using a lantern of utmost joy. Eventually, her husband grew old and fell gravely ill, so she ended his life to ease him of his suffering, and related the experience to her fellow witches, the following day. When she had the title of mayor, she requested Alice to help her settle various trifling matters in Snezhnaya. In exchange, Alice asked her to write a fortune slip for Andersdotter. Although Ivanovna passed away centuries ago, she passed her title on to her students. Her most recent successor, Scarlet, had the prophecy which the Hexenzirkel members had written, and sought to uncover information about it, leading to the events of the Wainbloom Festival. Volume 4 of The Little Witch and Undying Fire, which mentions diplomacy and politics, as well as the author, stating they have no knowledge of magic or mysticism, was written by Ivanovna Nicole. She is a prophetess, a female prophet, and an extraordinary person, studying Tevat's direction and order. She has the codename N in the Hexenzirkel. She is said to offer help to those in need of guidance, which led her to be known by other members of the group as the guide who will never get lost. She also has a habit of speaking directly into people's minds, without warning. Nicole is implied to be physically mute, as she describes herself as suffocated by her inability to speak, and Wolfie mentions that one of Madame Mage's friends is a mute person, who likes to speak in people's heads. She also has messy handwriting, due to a lack of practice. She was incredibly talkative at first, and she would give herself quite a headache whenever she spoke. Alice advised her to speak more steadily, and present an air of mystery and nobility, which is how she developed her current manner of speaking. While reflecting on the consequences of a person's removal from Irminsul, following the incident with the Wanderer, who had removed his previous incarnation, and changed Tevat's known history, a mysterious voice speaks to the traveler in Paimon. It tells them that unfortunately, the fate of Tevat cannot easily be changed. Perhaps a god may have a slim chance, but for anyone else, history does not change with ease, but human hearts can. Believe your own eyes, only what you see is true. What is unseen is but an illusion. Her voice disappears after that, leaving no clues to her identity. Alice gives a brief description of Nicole, while describing the members of the Hexenzirkel, explaining that she only speaks to guide people toward the truth, when a change has occurred in the world. During the Fontaine Archon quest, Nicole appeared, and confirmed to the traveler that the prophecy of the Nation of Justice would come to fruition. However, she stated that prophecies are merely the future, in the perspective of the gods, but the gods are still not omniscient. Ultimately, she advises the traveler to simply play their part. Volume 5 of The Little Witch and Undying Fire, which is a messy scroll, was written by Nicole. Octavia. She is a member of the Hexenzirkel, where she goes by the codename O. Little is known about her, other than her character, in The Little Witch and the Undying Fire. She is a good friend of the legendary Old Witch, who has seen many worlds, and told many tales about the sky beyond the sky. Her home was destroyed at some point in the past, but she lacked the courage to fight back, and instead took up a life of eternal wandering. The missing chair in the Mage's Tea Party most likely represents Octavia, as the witches in the book collection typically do not prepare a chair for her, due to her frequent traveling. Volume 6 of The Little Witch and Undying Fire was written by Octavia, and includes herself as a self-insert character. Andersdotter. She was a member of the Hexenzirkel, under the codename M. She was the author of the renowned storybook, The Boar Princess, and was said to be an exceptional writer. Like Ivanovna, she was a human who never received magic or combat training, and was simply ordinary, in comparison to other members. She was described as a legend that never ends, for her stories, and her publications were able to teach Alice the meaning of grief. In the Mage's Tea Party cutscene, Andersdotter is represented first by the cover of the Boar Princess, and later by the princess and her fox and turtle companions. She also helped in writing a letter, disguised as a prophecy, asking Ivanovna to come visit them one last time, before her wedding. In her old age, she once commented to the group that because her lifespan was much shorter than some of theirs, she wished to leave her storybook, The Boar Princess, to the members, and that they may pass it to the next generations. In the story of The Little Witch and Undying Fire, the old witch who embodies the undying fire is Andersdotter, while the Little Witch may be a representation of all the other Hexenzirkel members who decided to carry on her legacy. The Little Witch may also represent the spirit of Andersdotter, living on through her stories. Notably, the author of Volume 7 in the book collection is unknown, although it contains a mix of writing styles from all the previous volumes. And that is all the Hexenzirkel members we know in Genshin Impact. As I said, we are still currently missing one other member, who will probably be revealed in the future, but for now, who is your favorite member? What do you guys think about them, in comparison to other groups, and would you like them to be playable? Comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Give a like if you ended up enjoying this video, and subscribe to be notified of my future videos. Bye.